You look at your hair turning gray day by day and think, I'm old now. That's just how it is. Wrong, and that mistake is aging you faster than necessary. Your hair does not turn gray because your genes decided your fate. Only about 30% is genetic. The remaining 70% comes from pigment cells being starved and poisoned every day. Inside your scalp live cells called melanocytes. Be clear about this, they are your hair color factories. When you were younger, when your body was properly fueled, these factories worked non-stop, injecting melanin into each hair strand daily. Hair grew with color. Simple biology. But after age 40 and accelerating hard after 60, something changes. Melanocytes do not die, they go dormant. Why? Long-term nutrient deficiency and oxidative stress choke the system. When even one critical nutrient link is missing, the entire melanin production line shuts off instantly. Not gradually, not partially. Off means off. Your body prioritizes survival, not appearance. When resources are limited, hair pigmentation is cut short. Hair still grows, but without color, like a car factory still running after the paint department lost power. You call this normal aging. The correct term is pigment cell failure due to cellular depletion. And don't comfort yourself with everyone goes go. Gray hair is not cosmetic trivia. It is one of the earliest warning signals that internal systems are breaking down at the cellular level. When melanocytes stop functioning, other systems are already under stress. Ignore this signal, and then damage doesn't stop at gray hair. Skin dulls, blood vessels age faster, cellular repair slows, biological aging accelerates without warning. The most dangerous lie is being told that nothing can be done, that dye and concealment are our only options while the root cause continues destroying tissue from within. Melanocytes do not need cosmetics, they do not need salons, they need precise biological fuel. When nourished correctly, they can wake up. New hair can grow from the roots with restored pigment. This is not a miracle. It is biology. But hear this clearly. The longer you wait, the lower the chance of recovery. Dormancy that lasts too long becomes permanent failure. Gray hair is not the end. It is the final warning before deeper systemic decline begins. You either act now, or you keep watching color and vitality drain from your body month after month. If you believe gray hair is written in your fate, then you are being misled. Here is the reality. About 30% of gray hair is genetic. The remaining 70% comes from cellular nutrient deficiency, and that part is under your control. Melanocytes, the cells that produce hair color, are not scent machines. They are a complex biological system that requires multiple nutritional cofactors at the same time to function. When even one critical factor is missing, the entire melanin production process collapses instantly. Not slowly, not gradually. It stops. The real problem is this. You think you are eating healthy, but your cells are not receiving what they need. After age 50, stomach acid production drops by unto 5%. Without sufficient acid, you cannot extract minerals from food properly. Food goes in, food comes out. Your cells remain starved. You may be eating enough, but your melanocytes are starving every 100 day, and it gets worse. If you are taking metformin proton pump inhibitors or statins, you need to hear this clearly. These medications are notorious for depleted essential vitamins and minerals, especially vitamin B12, copper, and antioxidants, the exact nutrients melanocytes need to survive and function. The result? The medications you take to stay healthy are silently suffocating your pigment cells. Then there is chronic stress. Elevated cortisol burns through antioxidant reserves rapidly. Your melanocytes are under constant oxidative attack with no protective defense left. They weaken, and eventually they shut down. This creates a vicious cycle. You eat well but don't absorb nutrients. You take medications that create new deficiencies. You stress about aging, which accelerates graying. Your melanocytes signal distress but receive nothing in return. Stop deceiving yourself. Gray hair does not just happen. It is the bill you are paying for long-term cellular deficiency. If you don't correct the problem at the root, at the cellular level, no hair dye will save you. You are all covering the damage while degeneration continues underneath. The good news, much of this process can be reversed if you act in time. The bad news, every year you delay, melanocytes become weaker, more inactive, and harder to reawaken. You control 70% of your gray hair story, but that control only matters if you face it and act now. You think your hair is turning gray because it's losing color? Wrong. Your hair is being bleached from the inside every single day. Inside your body, hydrogen peroxide is constantly produced as a metabolic waste product. When you are young, this is not a problem. You have plenty of catalase enzyme which instantly breaks peroxide down into harmless water and oxygen. Your cleanup system works. But after age 4A, that system starts to fail. Catalase production drops by at least 40%, and it keeps declining with age. When catalase is no longer sufficient, hydrogen peroxide begins to accumulate directly inside your hair follicles. Not on the surface, not on the hair shaft, at the root. Here is the hard truth most people never hear. Hydrogen peroxide bleaches melanin exactly like industrial bleach. It destroys pigment the moment melanocytes produce it. Hair grows out white not because there was no pigment, but because the pigment was destroyed instantly. Scientists have measured this directly. They found hydrogen peroxide levels inside gray hair follicles up to 10 times higher than in pigmented follicles. 10 times. This is not theory. This is measured data. Picture this clearly. Your melanocytes are still trying to work. They are still attempting to inject pigment into the hair shaft, but they are working while submerged in bleach. Every time pigment is produced, it is wiped out immediately. Effort becomes pointless. And this is not just about your hair. This oxidative mechanism does not target hair alone. It is the same process that creates age spots on your skin, cataracts in your eyes, chronic joint inflammation, arterial stiffening, and increased cardiovascular risk over time. Gray hair is simply the earliest and most visible warning sign. It is the canker in the coal mine. By the time you see it, your antioxidant defense system has already been weakened for years. That is why simply adding pigment-building nutrients is not enough. If you do not neutralize hydrogen peroxide, your efforts are wasted. You can add vitamins, minerals, raw materials, but if bleach is still flooding the follicle, everything gets destroyed. This is why many people do everything right and still turn gray fast, not because their body failed, but because they ignored the most critical protective system, catalase. Without restoring peroxide neutralization, no strategy works long-term. Hair will continue to grow out white. Oxidative damage will continue eating away at your body silently. Gray hair is not cosmetic, it is a biological alarm. You can comment your age below, or simply leave the number 1 if this topic applies to you. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss upcoming videos, and share this video if you found it truly helpful. If your hair is graying fast, hear this clearly: without copper and B12. Your melanocytes have no chance of functioning. No debate, no exceptions. Melanin does not produce itself. It requires a master enzyme called tyrosinase, and that enzyme only works when copper is present. Without copper, tyrosinase shuts down completely. Not slowly, not weakly. Off is off. You can eat well, take supplements, do everything right, but without copper, melanin production is zero. Where does copper come from? The most concentrated natural sources are beef liver and oysters, followed by cashews, sunflower seeds, and dark chocolate. But if you are older and have been deficient for years, eating a few nuts here and there will not fix the problem. Your melanocytes need concentrated biological fuel, not symbolic intake. And here is the trap countless people fall into without realizing it. High-dose zinc. Zinc and copper compete directly for absorption in the gut. If you take 30-60 mg of zinc daily for immune support and do not supplement copper, you are actively creating copper deficiency. The most visible consequence: rapid, aggressive graying. The biological ratio is non-negotiable. Zinc-copper 8:1. If you take 30 mg of zinc, you need about 4 mg of copper alongside it. Without this ratio, your melanocytes are slowly being strangled. But copper alone is not enough. Vitamin B12 is the second pillar. Melanocytes are extremely oxygen-hungry cells. Without oxygen, they cannot produce pigment, and B12 is what determines oxygen delivery through red blood cell production. After age 60, most people cannot absorb B12 effectively through the digestive tract due to loss of intrinsic factor. You can eat red meat daily and swallow standard B12 pills, but the B12 never reaches your bloodstream. Your melanocytes enter a state of chronic oxygen starvation. When melanocytes cannot breathe, hair grows out without color. That's it. This is why B12 must be sublingual methylcobalamin. The dose must be sufficient, 5,000 micrograms per day. Low doses taken for reassurance do nothing. B12 deficiency does not just cause gray hair, it drives fatigue, brain fog, tingling and neuropathy, neurological decline, and faulty DNA replication. Gray hair is ain't the visible tip, the deeper damage is progressing faster underneath. Understand this clearly. No copper, no enzyme, no melanin, no B12, no oxygen melanocyte paralysis. This is not a trick, not a trend. This is foundational biology. If you ignore these two factors, don't ask why your hair keeps turning gray despite doing everything. You are building a house without load-bearing pillars. Melanocytes don't need promises, they need copper to turn on and B12 to survive. Without these two, every other strategy is just avoiding the truth. You are still looking for one wet pill to save your gray hair. I'll be direct. You are in the wrong ways. Gray hair doesn't fail at one point, it is a system collapse. And restoring it means rebuilding the entire biological chain with no missing links. Strategy 1. Copper. Without copper, the enzyme tyrosinase never turns on. No enzyme means no melanin. This is the on-off switch for hair color. If copper is missing, everything else is irrelevant. Strategy 2. Vitamin B12. Melanocytes are oxygen-hungering cells. Without B12, oxygen never arrives. Hair follicles enter a state of chronic oxygen starvation. Hair grows out colorless not because of age, but because cells cannot breathe. Strategy 3. Catalase. If you don't neutralize hydrogen peroxide, you are effectively pouring bleach onto your hair roots every day. Melanin is destroyed the moment it is produced. Supplying raw materials without addressing peroxide is working in futility. Strategy 4. Antioxidant. Defense. Selenium and vitamin E. This is the protective armor around melanocytes. Without it, oxidative stress destroys pigment cells far faster than you realize. Selenium also supports thyroid function, which directly influences the speed of graying. Strategy 5. Protein and tyrosin. Melanin is built from amino acids. If you are protein deficient, especially as you age, melanocytes lack the raw materials to function. Gray hair here is only the earliest visible sign of deeper systemic depletion. Strategy 6. PBBA. This compound is directly linked to pigmentation gene expression. When genetic pathways are switched off, melanocytes enter deep dormancy. PBBA is one of the key that can reopen that pathway in many individuals. The final strategy, and one of the most destructive, is stress. Elevated cortisol burns through antioxidant reserves, accelerating melanocyte exhausted. Stress doesn't just gray your hair faster, it steals your cell's ability to recover. Understand this clearly. None of these 7 strategies works alone. Miss one link, and the entire system collapses. Your hair is not gray because you are getting old. It is gray because the biological support chain for pigment cells has been broken. When you restore that chain correctly, completely, and consistently, melanocytes have a chance to wake up. No miracles promised, but the biology is sound. You can keep hiding the damage with dye, or you can start fixing the system at its root right now. If you are protein deficient, let me be blunt. Your melanocytes have nothing to work with. No raw material, no production. Yeah, that biology. Melanin is not magic. It is built from amino acids, and tyrosine is the direct building block. Without tyrosine, even if enzymes are present, even if copper and B12 are adequate, melanocytes remain inactive. The problem is that many older adults are severely under-eating protein without realizing it. A carb-heavy breakfast, a thin slice of meat at lunch, a minimal dinner. By the end of the day, protein intake is not even enough to maintain basic tissue, let alone support pigment cells. Your body always prioritizes survival. When protein is scarce, it pulls resources away from non-essential functions. Hair is cut fut. Melanocytes are starved. Hair grows out without color. Do not comfort yourself with plant protein is enough. Most plant proteins are incomplete, lacking essential amino acids required for proper conversion. Without precise combinations, tyrosine availability remains inadequate. Protein deficiency doesn't just gray your hair. It leads to muscle wasting, weakness, poor immune function, and slow tissue repair. Gray hair is simply the earliest visible warning, but raw material alone is not enough. Even with adequate protein and tyrosine, melanocytes can remain genetically locked. This is where PABA becomes critical. PABA is not a pigment. It is a biological signal directly involved in pigmentation gene expression. When these genetic pathways are switched off, melanocytes enter deep dormancy, even in a nutrient-rich environment. Clinical observations and historical studies show that PABA can reactivate silenced melanin-producing genes. Not everyone responds, but a significant percentage shows cures improvement within 8 weeks. You cannot obtain effective PABA doses from food alone. Liver, mushrooms, and whole grains do not provide therapeutic levels. Effective intake requires 300–500 milligrams per day. Understand this clearly. No protein, no raw material. No tyrosine, no melanin. No PABA genes remain locked. These are not optional choices, they are mandatory conditions if melanocytes are going to recover. If you supplement vitamins but ignore protein and PABA, you are building a house with no bricks and a locked door. Melanocytes don't need reassurance, they need materials to build and signals to activate genes. Without both, your hair has no biological path back to color. If you are under chronic stress, hear this clearly. You are burning away your hair ability to recover color every single day. Stress is not just a feeling in your head, it is a real biological destructive force. When stress becomes chronic, cortisol stays elevated. The hormone pushes your body into survival mode. Resources are pulled away from all non-essential functions. And hair pigmentation is one of the first sacrifices. Cortisol drains antioxidant reserves, turning the environment around your hair follicles toxic. Melanocytes are attacked continuously by oxidative stress without protection. They weaken, then they shut down. But the most dangerous damage goes deeper. In 2020, scientists identified the exact biological mechanism behind stress-induced graying. Not theory, not speculation. Remember biology. Stress overactivates the sympathetic nervous system. This activation depletes melanocyte stem cells, the stem cells responsible for regenerating pigment-producing cells. Once these stem cells are lost, melanocytes can no longer be replaced. And you need to hear this without filters. Once melanocyte stem cells are gone, they do not come back. You can fix nutrition later. You can improve lifestyle later. But if stress has lasted long enough, the foundation is already damaged. That is why stress can accelerate graying by up to 50% compared to people not under chronic stress. This is not opinion, it is research data. Every day you delay managing stress is another day irreversible recovery capacity is lost. Gray hair caused by nutrient deficiency can be corrected, gray hair caused by oxidative overload can be addressed, but gray hair caused by stem cell depletion has no return path. Do not wait until your hair is completely good to think about stress. By then the problem is no longer just hair. Stress is aging your entire biological system, and hair is simply the first place it becomes visible. If you do not control stress, every other strategy becomes surface-level repair. You don't need to slow your life, you need to stop keeping your body in constant fight mode, because every day of unrelenting stress means melanocyte stem cells disappearing without warning. You listen to everything and do nothing, your hair will not change on its own. Biology does not run on hope, runs on discipline and sequence. So here is the 4-week roadmap. No fluff, no rushing, follow the order or don't bother. Week 1, build the non-negotiable foundation. The first step is knowing what your body is missing. Copper, B12, selenium, thyroid markers, these are pillars. No testing, no guessing. At the same time, you must start sublingual B12 at 1,000 micrograms daily, not just in case, but to restore oxygen delivery to hair follicles. Add 2 Brazil nuts per day to secure selenium, your basic antioxidant defense. This week has only 3 actions, but they are decisive. Week 2, turn the pigment factory back on. Now comes copper. If you can eat liver, eat liver. If not, use copper glycinate around 2 milligrams per day. Without copper, the enzyme tyrosinase does not turn on. At the same time, you must raise protein intake to the biological requirement, about 1 gram per kilogram of body weight per day. Without enough protein, melanocytes have no raw material. This is not advice, this is a condition. Week 3, shut down the internal bleach. If you don't deal with hydrogen peroxide, everything you've done will be destroyed. This week focuses on catalase, liver, sweet potatoes, cruciferous vegetables eaten raw or very lightly steamed. Add natural vitamin E to protect melanocyte cell membranes. The goal is simple and strict. Stop hair and being bleached at the root. Week 4, unlock genes and prevent permanent damage. Now add PABA about 300 milligrams per day to support pigmentation gene expression. At the same time, you must control stress, not with intention, but with action. Daily deep breathing, adequate sleep, magnesium glycinate before bed, and if needed, adaptogens like ashwagandha. This step protects melanocyte stem cells. Once they're gone, there is no way back. If you can't afford everything, remain this. Sublingual B12, copper, catalase. These three are the spine. Without them, every other strategy stalls. Do not expect results in days. Biology needs 812 weeks to show change in new hair growing from the root. But if you do this correctly, the body responds. Gray hair does not reverse by chance. It changes only when you force the biological system to function again. If you found this content useful, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can continue following future insights. Every subscription motivates me to keep sharing more valuable content, and it would be great if you share this video. It might genuinely help a family member or a friend there.